Hello. Good evening. I was a little bit unprepared there. I kind of caught myself off guard. I must apologise. Anyway, so lads, lasses, people with glasses, and of course, all of those in between. My name, in case you didn't already know, is Dexter, and welcome to the Low Energy Livestream. And tonight's edition is edition number 10. Seems like the past episodes have just flown past. I can't believe we're already at double digits. So, little round of applause for that. Right. Anyway, so yes, I caught myself totally off guard there because I was too busy reading about a proper badass, although they're not reporting about him really in the news. But some of you may have seen, now this is going totally off track about it being a paintball thing. Some of you may have seen in the news there's been some ISIS terrorists have attacked a hotel in Kenya. And it seems that there was an SAS UK Special Forces, a UK Special Forces instructor who was over there training some Kenyan troops who has just gone in and taken out the 5 terrorists. It's currently being reported, at least on the BBC, as Kenyan Special Forces storm compound, something along those lines. But from what's been posted and what's been said in a few other places, it seems like some badass from the SAS has just gone in and fucking dealt with them. And that's what needs to be done. Let's face it. That's how this should be dealt with all the time. Anyway, let's just get on to. Let's get on to the paintball stuff here and try and stay away from world politics. I'm going to try and make it through one stream without getting into political stuff. Let's see how we can do. As Ben already pointed out, the fact that this is stream number 10, that could be an omen. Anyway. Oh, and tonight's beverage of choice, unfortunately, is water. I am out of fizzy Coca-Cola from brown bottles, and I have no cold tea. Gentlemen, we'll have none of that. I'm too easy to distract as it is. We'll leave it alone. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that if I was to have gone to school now, I would have been declared. I would have been diagnosed with ADHD or something. I have I have the attention span of a fly. Anyway, right. Let's try and get on this. Let's try and do something. So today, I've actually got 5 walk-ons to share with you. 5 events this week that coming up this weekend to share with you. But I only actually have proper information on 3 of them. So, if you are interested in the other 2, you will have to go and do a little bit of searching yourself for this. ADGD, yes, attention deficit ginger disorder. Yes, I do indeed have that. So yes, I've only got information, and hello viewers, hello. I've only got information on 3 of the 5. So I will, as always, there is links in the description if you want to check any of this stuff out. So please feel free to go and check. But let's get on with it. So first up, we have a walk-on at Mayhem Essex, which is Sunday. In fact, all of these games coming up this weekend are all on Sunday. So it is the Sunday, the 21st, 20th of the 1st, 2019. For if you're watching this way in the future and you hear that date, you're out of luck. These games aren't on unless it's a coincidence. Right, so first game is Mayhem Essex. Now, if you book in advance, you'll get the ticket price is £50. It is £55 on the day, and that includes a box of GI, Vulcan Fate, or Sterling Shield. The site has a heated kitten up area, so if it's not exactly fantastic weather at the minute. I think we've all been there when it's been raining. You're out in the wind, you're out in the snow. Bad conditions. It is England after all. Well, Britain. It's not fantastic. We've all been in bad conditions, so a nice heated kitten area is a very nice touch. They're advertising that you'll be able to get 4.5 thousand air fills. So for those of you that are using carbon fibre tanks, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Keeps you in the game that little bit longer. Hot food is available. And if you're interested in that game, like I said earlier, the link is in the description. So feel free to check that one out. There is also a walk-on at On Target Games. Again, Sunday the 20th of the 1st, 2019. This is £20 per person. Paint is available from £25 a box, or bring your own. So you've got the options there. You know, it's brilliant having those options. The gates open from 9 AM, with games looking to start from 10:30 onwards. That site is located around about 15 minutes from Plymouth. So if you're in the area, get yourself down, go and have a great day, and come back. As always, with any of these games, if you go to one, come back and let us know what it was like. Tell us, and then if it was a good site, we can tell people, we can tell more people, we can get that shared around. Right, the next one is Ambush Airsoft, Paintball and Laser Tag. This is located in Southampton, or near Southampton. Again, Sunday, and the site will be open from 9 AM until 4 PM. It's £25 entry, including pizza and cake, which, as you all know by now, chances are you all know by now, I love food, and the fact that they're offering pizza and cake with their entry fee, that's perfect. If I was in the area, I'd go to that one. Just because they have already told me that there will be pizza and cake on offer. Right. Now, paint is available, but you need to let them know in advance what you're wanting or how much you're wanting. Unfortunately, yes, cake. Unfortunately, I don't have prices for the paint, and I don't know what kind of paint is on offer. But, as I've said before, there is a link in the description if you want to go and check anything more on that one. Right then, the next two. This is where things start to get a little bit unknown. Right, I've been informed that there is a walk-on at Outpost Paintball in Chester, again Sunday, and there is also a walk-on at BZ Battlezone Edinburgh. But again, I haven't been given any information on these games, so I don't know what the crack is. If anybody does know, if anybody has any more information that they'd like to share, then let us know, and hopefully if I can get that information before the end of the stream, we'll be able to get that out, and hopefully get those sites a few more players, and we'll see. I'm trying to snack. I didn't think it would take as long to eat this. Sorry. Right, now. The first walk-on of the year will be taking place on Sunday the 20th of January. The walk-on price will be £20 per person. That's at BZ Edinburgh. Paint will be available from £30 per box for 2,000 balls. Well, obviously that's how much you get in a box. And £9 per bag of 500 includes 3,000 air fills. Nice one. It does say booking was required. Chew faster. Yes. Well, it's gone now, and I'll take smaller bites of the next bit. Thanks very much for that, Gassy. Aye, nice one. Cheers. You see this as well, like, I like when we can all sit down and have a conversation and we can share the information around. And as always, I am looking to improve this in the future. Well, I'll turn my page so I know where I'm up to. Nice one. Thank you very much for that, Albert. I can see I'm getting notifications on there, so sometimes you might not see something that pops up in the chat, but it's because I'm getting notifications elsewhere. Right, does say booking was required. Yeah, so hopefully, I'm hoping that there is still time for people to get booked in on that one. Generally, they're not going to, most sites aren't going to shut down booking until quite close to the last minute. But if I'm too late on that one, I do apologise, gents. But hopefully, people can get out there and get a bit of playtime. I did have a quick look around for this and for the information on these last 2 games, but I wasn't able to find anything on short notice. Because frankly, I am terrible at organisation. Nightmare, yeah, hopefully joining SES Paintball. Good lad. I think it's SES are playing. I think it's North versus South. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's one of the lads from SES is general in North versus South. Now, I may be attending that game, so I might meet you there. If you see us, feel free to come over and say hello. I'll most likely be really, really awkward and not know how to respond. Yes, Adam Parkman from the North. There. Adam Parkman, representing the North. Right. Too slow, old man Wong. Right then, anyway. So, let's get onto the meat of today's show. Let's get on to the proper topics. Now, these are a couple of topics that, if I can work things out on how to do some things, I think this would have been quite good to touch on some of these things in a future episode. But for now, you've only got me. Right. I want to close that link, and I'm going to open this one. Right. Some of you may have seen this. Are SAS at speed? I don't actually know that. We might, if we're lucky, we might get a representative of SAS in the team page, on the live stream, and we might actually get some information direct from an SAS player if we're lucky. Right then, so anyway, right, copy, and right then, some of you may have seen this, some of you may not, but I think this is incredibly important for everyone that plays paintball to watch. So I'm going to post it up in the comments section. I'm going to post it up in the live chat. So, bugger. Yeah, there we go. Right. So, if you haven't already seen this, like I said, I think this is incredibly important that people check this out. Now, if you go back through my videos on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that I did a video talking about the FMA A1 or F1 or something like that. It was a cheap knockoff of the Dye i4. I did a video on that using pics and information that I was given permission to use by Urban Paintball UK. And it was about this cheap knockoff mask that they bought one because they'd seen it floating around on eBay, and as I said, it's a rip-off of the Dye i4. Been floating around on eBay, they bought one, they tested it, and it failed testing. Now, ever since that, I have still continued to have people post on that video things like, oh, but can I just replace the lens? Or, you know, what if I do this? What if I do that? Would it be okay if I airsoft? And asking questions like that. And because I'm not in control of anyone's wallets, I've said, you know, like if anybody wants to get one and test it, feel free. But I wouldn't trust it. You only get one set of eyes, and once they're gone, they're gone. There's no replacing them. We don't have the technology yet. Link above is link above of Dexter's video. The link above isn't my video, Richie. The link above is a link to the one from Combat Zone Paintball, because I think it was Saturday, last Saturday. Last Saturday, Chris from Combat Zone Lincoln shared a video on the Combat Zone Lincoln Facebook page. Now, I think, just have a quick look here. No, I didn't actually share a link to this one, so I do need to update that. I'm actually going to put a link right in there right now, because I think it's only fair that we'll credit the guy with this video. I'm going to just shorten that down ever so slightly. Right then. Now save. There we go. So the link is now in the description as well. so you don't have to go back through the comments section and stuff. Hello, evening, Colin. Thank you for joining me. But yes, Combat Zone Lincoln hype. So yeah, please guys, if you haven't already seen it, I reckon pretty much everyone that's in here already probably has. But Chris from Combat Zone Lincoln shared a video up on Facebook, I think it was on Saturday, where they've bought, well, they haven't actually bought it. A customer, a rental customer, has bought their own mask off of eBay. They have turned up for to go and play a day's paintball, and one of the refs apparently noticed that the mask just didn't look right. So he asked if he could have a look at it. Noticed it doesn't have any dye branding on it. Noticed it seemed a bit flimsy. So they asked the rental customer if they could test it. So they put it on a fence post, as you can probably see in the video. If you haven't, well, if you've watched it, you'll know. If you haven't, then I'll describe it. So they put the mask on a fence post, and standing a couple of meters back, maybe from it, they started firing shots at the mask. The first shot that hit the lens cracked the lens down roughly around about there. By the third shot, full paintballs were hitting the fence post through the lens. The lens was pretty much completely blown out within a handful of shots. Now, granted, that is pretty much point blank, and you know it's pretty much point blank. Paintballs aren't exactly, they don't tickle when they hit, but later on in the comments thread, which you'll be able to find if you go to the original link, people had been questioning, like, could a normal mask hold up to that sort of punishment? Because yes, that is going to be hitting hard. So they took one of their masks. It was E-Flex, Empire E-Flex, put it on the fence post, and I think they fired 15 shots at it from point blank range, and were able to just wipe the paint off, and you could still go out and play with that. Just read your t-shirt, surely you're a zombie, all you can eat buffet with all the trimmings and take home doggy bag. How dare you! I'm not a buffet, I'm a 4-course meal. But yeah, so simply put, there's not much we can do to remove these masks from the market. I don't know if we could get them removed from eBay. I think they're being sold on Amazon as well. They're not. Either way, there's not much we can do. If the people want to sell these products, we can't stop them selling these products. But if you come across somebody at a rental site, or if you come across somebody at a walk-on day or anything, and they're wearing what appears to be a dye i4, and it's missing logos, it seems a bit wrong, pull them up on it. Doesn't matter if it's in a game zone, doesn't matter if it's in the safe zone, wherever it is. I'd rather people who are a little bit awkward and had a couple of minutes of, well, what are you looking at my mask for? And they've had their eyes kept in their head, then getting out on the game zone and potentially being blinded. It's these masks, if they are noticed, if they're spotted on a field for anything other than testing, in which case they shouldn't be on a human head. If they're on a field for anything other than for testing purposes, if you come across somebody that's playing with one of these masks on, kindly suggest that they leave the playing field, even if it's a case of escort them off the field yourself, call a ref over. If anything's said, show them this video as, not my video, but the video from Combat Zone. Share that, show them that, and show them why these masks aren't safe. Now, it means by this point these people will have probably taken a hit to the pocket, but hopefully we can stop people from being injured due to unsafe equipment. And that does also apply across the board. If you know people are using unsafe equipment in general, call them out on it, get this stuff taken off of game zones, and keep people safe. That's what we need to do. But I think, unless anybody's got anything that they want to say, Nightmare, they weren't. I think these have just been made for to try and make a quick bit of cash. Well, it's not even a quick bit of cash because they've been sold for over 5 years now. But I don't think it's even that. There is a video, if you search for these masks on YouTube, there is a video of one of these being shot by an airsoft gun, and even the airsoft gun, which they don't hit with as much power, but even that is like leaving dents in the lens. They're not suitable. Nobody should be playing in these. I could argue that maybe if you're wearing eye protection underneath the eye protection, but I think that's a bit, that's going a bit far. Yes, right. The walks ones. The walks do look. The walk. Yeah, walk. They do look a little bit like an i4. They look sort of like a very milsim i4, or they're like when you get the i4 masks that have got where people like magfed players will put fast helmets on them. It looks very similar to that, but the complete mesh lowers, the mesh all the way around there. There is talk about trying to get them approved for paintball, but I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Apparently, they're considering for paintball putting like a liner in. If that gets approval, fantastic. But at the minute, they were advertised for paintball for a little while, and when people called them out on that because they're not safe at the moment, they removed a lot of the stuff saying that they were for paintball. But there is still some advertisements out there saying that you can get them for paintball. But just so you're aware, at the minute, they're not yet. They don't have approval. But they look like the i4s, so unknown people may use them and they're not safe. That's exactly the point, Richie. If people don't know that these aren't legit i4 gogs, and you see what you think is a set of i4s on eBay. I mean, the amount of people that are just going to go online and search for paintball masks. And I've seen people turn up at rental fields with like the army of two skull masks and stuff, where they've just got mesh in the eyes, and that's for wanting to play paintball with that, because they bought what they were told was a paintball mask on eBay. So the moral of it is really buy from legitimate sources unless you know what you are buying. But it's a lot easier to say that than it is to get people that don't have a clue to do that. But yes, it's a shit i4 clone. Yeah, that's the case, mate. And they are, as Ben says there, they are sold as paintball masks. But yeah, so hopefully, I don't think this video will make much impact on that. But if we can raise awareness on this, if you hadn't seen it before, you haven't already, share that link round from Combat Zone. People need to see that. We need to stop people buying those masks. Right then, the next one. Now, I don't know how many of you have we got any magfed players in the chat. If you're a magfed player, put your hands up now. Come on. Because I've got one that might interest you. Paintball Park, Kidderminster, which you may remember from some of my previous episodes. I've advertised some of the walk-ons. Paintball Park, Kidderminster are looking to start monthly magfed walk-ons. Would you be interested? Well, there we go, Nightmare. Thing is, it might be a little bit far for you, but how do you like the idea of a regular magfed walk-on? Ben, are you legit ordering pizza? Because I am. I love pizza. Send us pictures on Facebook. Going for a beer. Right, well, see you when you get back, Richie. But yes, how do you like the idea of a dedicated monthly magfed walk-on game? Is it something that, even if you're not in the area, is it something that, if you were in the area, would interest you? And if it is, let the guys over at Paintball Park Kidderminster, let them know. Tell them that Dexter sent you, that you were watching his video, and that he mentioned it, and tell them what you think. Let those guys know if it's worth them putting a walk on. Well, that is my favourite takeaway, Ben. But yeah, is a monthly magfed walk-on game something that would actually interest anyone? Because, I mean, I like the idea of magfed for the playstyle, for more movement, for having less paint in the air. I think it adds a different element to the game as opposed to just trying to hide from paint being sprayed around. again, if we don't tell sites that we like their ideas, that what we think they can do better, what we think that they're doing bad, if we don't let them know these things, then they won't improve. They won't be able to change and modify to what will make them good. So find the guys over on Facebook. Let them know that you think that having a monthly magfed game would be fun. And again, as always, hopefully, we can get a little bit more life into the game. We can get a few more players, a few more sites. Right, now I've only got 2 topics left to go, so today's show might be very short. Right, so as always, a monthly pump. Albert, I would love to be able to have a monthly pump game. And I suppose there is the potential for it. I mean, I think it might have to start off as like a monthly like magfed and pump game, but I do think something like that could definitely be on the cards. Let me see how I would like that. You see, the thing for me is it's always just travel. Like, I'm starting to get more inclined about the idea of actually going like traveling a bit further and going and doing a bit more stuff, but still. Nobody likes travelling. Right. So as always, I'm going to pimp out the paintball Discord because, of course, I've got to. So you'll find in the description down below a link to the paintball Discord server that I set up a while back. Generally, after the live shows, you'll find me and Albert sitting talking in there for a little while. So if anybody wants to come join with, feel free. But yeah, it's somewhere nice for we all sort of get together afterwards. We'll sit and talk and just have a bit of a laugh, and we can talk about things that have been said in the stream. But that you can have your say, I can have my say. We can actually have live conversations with each other instead of having to sit and type stuff out. Tell me about it. I don't like the cost of travelling. No, it's not fun, is it, Albert? Is that where you 2 pump together? Well, we're more than happy to pump there with anyone else that joins with, aren't we? I'm sad to hear that, Ben. It's no good. There's got to be somewhere else on Just Eat that you can order from, though. Or maybe it's Hungry House. Right. So yes, as I was saying, the Paintball Discord server. It's free to join. All you've got to do is create an account. I don't think you even need to download the app. Download it. If you're on a computer, you can literally just open the window and use Discord from that. Or at least you could when I first downloaded it. That might have changed. Either way, it's a free service, and I'm kind of inclined to start using it a little bit more. Partly because I don't trust Facebook anymore. There was one of the paintball buy sell trade pages recently. Facebook themselves removed a kit bag sale, not a marker sale, but a kit bag sale. You do have to download it if you have a Mac. It's a bit unfortunate that all that, but well, it works for you, and we can sit and talk now. Lowfell, Kells Kane does online and delivery Ben. There we go. Richie sorting out the issues. Richie, you know where I live. Send me address to Ben. Not in the chat. Not in the chat. Send me address to Ben, and get him to order me some food as well. Right? In fact, that's not a good idea. We don't want to start that sort of stuff happening on my live streams. Right. So anyway, the whole idea of the Discord server when I started up was I wanted somewhere else where we weren't under the thumb of Facebook all the time. I know it's a bit of a pain in the arse that if you diversify through different services, you've got multiple services that you have to keep signing in and out of, and like you have to log into different things, and some services you have to pay for and things like that, but not Discord. Do you? Oh well, if you've got my address, then send me food. Again, that's probably not a good idea that I start saying that. Right. So yes. So Facebook seems to be getting a little bit dodgy when it comes to having paintball pages on there. So what I thought was, if we start the Discord server up, we can all kind of get in there. We can have a bit of a chat. You don't have to give up one or and solely use the other or anything like that. There's a lot of things I want, Ben. I'm not getting any of them. Right. So yeah, I thought the idea is we could kind of use the Discord server as a little bit like a coffee shop or a pub. The idea being is you can sit there quietly, you can read what's going on, you can post up your own stuff, you can do what you like, or you can get involved in a conversation, have a bit banter with other people out of there. Now, as time goes on, we're slowly getting more members in, and there's more people that are starting to drop in and use the live chat. We had one of our own paintball celebrities in there a couple of weeks ago. We had Dr. Rush was in using the live chat. Well, actually, me and Albert sat and had a little bit of a conversation with them, which was nice. You know, the fact that people are interested in joining this was great. Send them pizza. I would take a pizza too, mind. I kind of would. Right then. So anyway, I think I have pimped out the Discord server enough. If you want to check it out, there is a link, of course, in the description. So, the last topic of today, before I start trying to randomly make up things. The Hidden Hedgehog recently posted up on his Facebook page asking about bouncers. And if I go over to Facebook, I'll actually open up the link. Right then, let's just have a little scroll through. Go ask my lass, what pizza do you want? You're alright, man. You're right. I think she's actually making something, so I might actually have food just turn up at some point in the live stream anyway. We'll get to that, Richie. Right then. Right. In fact, I'm not going to read the full post because I think it'll take us too long for to go through that. But now this is, of course, Ash's opinion. But paintball has evolved. The rules should too. Now, in my opinion on that, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And he shares a link to a guy's video where they've took a few shots at some people, and some of their shots have bounced, some obviously break. Right. Was it this is a great intense video by Blake Thompson which showcases magfed paintball. Absolutely fine with that. But for me, it is also a perfect video to argue that paintball has evolved. The whole bouncers don't count rule is so old, and it may work for traditional paintball, but not for magfed, in his opinion. Right. Well, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that we play paintball, and this is all stuff that I've said in his thread itself. So I'm of the opinion we play paintball. Paintball. We're not playing airsoft. In airsoft, you shoot an opponent, and if any shot hits, that's it. You're done. You put your hand up, or you get out of the game zone, or whatever the rules state for you to do at that point. But as a couple of years of as you said in the thread there, Mark, the ball's got to break. You know, for an elimination in paintball, the idea is that you mark your opponent with paint. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're just playing airsoft with bigger balls. And it's to me, it's as simple as that. Now, I'm not completely averse to playing bouncers count, but I think there has to be specific conditions. For example, for quite a while now, a lot of urban games where we've actually been using genuine military sites or ex-MOD sites, things like that. So places like RAF Curtin Lindsey, Senny Bridge, oh bugger, I can't think what the other one is. There's one that Going Postal use quite regular as well, which is another another CQB training site. All these sites, they are, well, at least Bridge and the one used by Going Postal, they are still used by the military. So of course you don't want squaddies running around getting coated in paint. You also don't want these buildings getting covered in paint because they're gonna look weird for when you've got squaddies actually running around. The sites are actually also used a little bit by airsofters as well, so there is that. RAF Curtin Lindsay, for all it is an ex site and it is an it's an ex barracks site, so it's not like somewhere where you're doing training, but it's an urban site. So those sites, they use generally the organisers that use them, and places like District 23 as well, they use clear paintballs. Now the problem is with the clear paintball, obviously it is clear. So if you're playing, say, somewhere like Bridge or RF Curtin Lindsay, and it's raining, you're gonna look wet. You're gonna get wet. Now, if you're shot with a clear ball, you can't see that you've been hit. The enemy can't see that you've been hit unless they actually see the ball hit you. So you can't, or even if it's dry weather, and you get hit with a clear ball, once you've wiped it, you're still left with what appears to be a wet patch. Now, in normal paintball, when you get hit with it and you wipe it off, you'll be left with a wet patch. But most of the time, you can see that it's been wiped off, or you can see that at most there might be a bit of a paint smear, but that's generally about it. When it comes to clear paint, you're left with a wet patch and that's it. So you can't guarantee it's an old hit or if it's a fresh hit. From a shooter's perspective, you can't run up to somebody and argue that that hit is fresh when all you've got is a sort of greasy, smeary patch. So that's it. Like as Richie says, when clear paint bounces, take it as a hit, because generally for those games, it's you're in close quarters. Well, quite often you're in close quarters. You can't always tell if it is actually a fresh hit or not. So I think it's only fair in those sort of situations when you're using clear paint to take every hit. It's not ideal, but we're playing with what we've got. Now, clear ones don't break. It's hit or miss. It depends what you're shooting them through, and it depends on the quality of them. I've had clear paint that was so brittle that you could just crush it by hand. You could drop it from 6 inches and it was breaking. On the other hand, I've had clear paint that has been pretty solid. So it's hit or miss. Now, as for any other game, if it is just shooting regular paint, I'm of the opinion that it has to burst. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, we're playing airsoft with bigger balls. Now, I'm trying to think of how to put everything. It's been a long day, a very long day. I spent an hour in traffic this morning trying to get to work, so I was like nearly an hour late, and my brain's been fried ever since. I think having a little bit to drink during my streams kind of helps this flow a little bit better as well. Clear paint at MVP broke as he picked it up. It was so brittle. Yeah, that was really brittle stuff. I do think that may have been because the paint was cold though. I think that was certainly a contributing factor to that. Depends on the game you're playing. Your average point a day, they shouldn't count runes them. For tournament, how can you prove you've been hit? Specialist games then depends on the rules. Right, yes, specialist games depends on the rules. Your average punt a day, bounces shouldn't count, no. And in a tournament stance, as he said, how do you prove you've been hit? Well, with a tournament, as I think I've said before, as I understand it, it's at least in some tournaments there is rules in place that if a ref sees a ball hit you and bounce, they can pull you off the field. But I would say, that could be abused, because then you could have a biased ref just pull you off field and say they saw a ball hit you. So I'd probably argue with that. I would argue with any ref or anything, because if they try and say, well, you were hitting your shoulder, and you go, well, look, literally where, they can't prove it, and you could easily go to a head ref and complain that. When I shot 12k hours at my TPX, none broke. Well, this is it, mate. Sometimes some stuff will break, some stuff won't. It'll depend on the paint, how it's been stored, what kind of paint it is. There's a lot of factors can come into it. But now that you've mentioned your TPX, that was one of the arguments that a few people were bringing up, was that magfed guns in general, you've got to use a thicker shell paint, because magfed guns they're a bit harsher on paint. The fact that they're going to be stored in mags for a while can compress paint. I think anyone that's played magfed has had paint that's been in a mag for a little while that's a bit oval, but because paint, once it's out of the bag, will start to deform if it has the pressure applied and things like that. In fact, even in the bag, it'll happen. But to the idea that, do you not think it's more magfed elitism? Possibly, but not entirely. As I've said before, I do definitely believe that there is magfed elitists, but I do not believe that that is something that is limited to magfed. I think there is elitists across the board. I mean, there is some people that will still say, even like 30 years down the line, that stock class is the one and only true way to play paintball, and everything else is fake. Like, no, people can play paintball however they want to play paintball. If you want to go out with a blunderbuss sort of style marker and play like that, have at it. Mine's custom soft tip bolt for my TPX. Ah, yes. It might be a soft tip bolt, so it'll be a little bit gentler on the paint itself in the gun. But it's the mags. You'll have to use most magfed players will use a slightly thicker shell ball, because it then stores better in the mags. So your gun might be a bit better, but it's the different places where stuff is. But yeah, so my argument when people argue about that they've got to use thicker shell paint because their guns are harsher on the paint in the first place, I can't help but feel, well, you chose that gear. You chose to go out there and use, and I don't mean this as an attack to anyone, because a lot of the gear that I use is from more prehistoric times of when it comes to paintball. I mean, that is, well, both of those are from the early 2000s. I've got some of my stock, my Phantoms. My Phantoms were probably, let's have a quick look. Has this one got a date on it? No, it hasn't. But chances are, I mean, this was probably made in the late 90s, or maybe even the mid 90s. Richie might know that. Richie's quite good when it comes to dates on gear. But basically, some of this gear, the gear that I use, is effectively prehistoric to paintball standards now, but it still works. And I accept that my gear has certain flaws with it being older. Now, if you have gone and it would be like me rocking up to a game and complaining that I don't have a high rate of fire because I'm using a pump, and somebody else can put that gun on uncapped ramp. Well, I bought my gear knowing that I was going to have a capped rate of fire because I'm playing pump. I could just buy something else that can compete with that. Now, at the same time, I understand if you only want to play, say, for example, you only want to play pump games, then it's nice if there's that option there for you. But you shouldn't restrict, I wouldn't expect to rock up to a pump game, or I wouldn't expect to rock up to a general walk-on and demand that everyone else play pump, so that my style of play is compatible. Or I wouldn't demand that everyone else drop their rates of fire so that my rate of fire isn't as far off. And I feel there's a bit of that. Now I'm not saying that that is from Ash. I'm saying that there was a few people in the comments that seem to have that sort of opinion, and that's basically that. I mean, that's kind of where that was going. The idea of everyone else needs to adapt because of me. However, Ash was specifically talking about magfed events, not paintball in general, just magfed events. But I do think it transfers across the whole board. To me, bouncers just shouldn't count. That you even have you'll even have some people that will argue that well, it's unfair, and they play paintball for the realism and things like that. They play magfed for the realism. But my argument to that is, and it's like, if you get shot, well, you wouldn't carry on if you're shot in combat. Well, yeah, you would sometimes. It's not every single shot that hits you in real life is going to kill someone. I mean, there is stories of soldiers who have been shot. Oh, dog. Hello, wife. Sorry, the camera's pointing towards me. I'm going to quickly spin it so that's pointing on you. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks so much. Their choice to use magfed in mixed marker events. I like painting trees. Well, Richie, that's the thing. Some people like pulling the trigger. Some people don't. Some people like playing pump. Some people don't. Some people like playing magfed. Some people don't. Now, I'm not going to diss anybody's choice of style of play. But I think, you can't choose to have that style and then complain that other people don't have the same style as you. Even within, well, that's it. Nightmare. I do. I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of my other videos, but there's videos of me playing with electro markers. There's videos of me playing pump. There's videos of me playing magfed. I just don't care. I like playing paintball. I don't have a. I mean, my favourite style of play is pump. But other than that, I just want to shoot people. That's all. That's the whole thing with me. I just want to get out there and I want to be able to shoot people, and then go have a drink with them at the end of the day afterwards. What? Yeah. That's it. I just like playing paintball. That's it for me. That's basically it. It would be meant to run a pump only, but I know it's near to impossible. I can't understand people who shit on other people's play styles. Yeah? Well, this is it. It's... Again, like I said, it's not a magfed thing, it's not a Tony thing or anything like that. It goes across the board. There are some people that just can't accept that other people don't like playing the way that they do. Now, and now you can play... And now you can play a 6-shot cylinder. Yes, I can. And the next time I go down to District 23, I'll be running with that thing again because I love that little revolver. Well, it's not actually a little revolver. It's quite big, but it was really fun going out and playing with that. And I'm really looking forward to it again. The only thing is, I'm not sure if I would actually try playing with that at a regular walk-on. What pissed me is that some will tell you what gear to run. Yes, this is it. You see, with some more established teams, and I'm not naming names because there isn't a name to name, but some more established teams will give it, you can only shoot this gun, or you can only shoot guns from this manufacturer or anything else. And that generally tends to happen with sponsorship deals. The sponsor will say, right, you need to use this equipment. Which I can understand. You go for a deal, that whoever you're getting that deal through, they don't want the competition. They want you to be using their gear because that looks good for them. But like me and the lads that I play with, me and the other guys from Nest, which there's a few of them in the chat here. We've always kind of tried to avoid going for sponsorship. In fact, we always have avoided even applying for sponsorship because we never wanted to be tied down to what gear we could and couldn't use. We always wanted to be able, like, if I want to go out with a pump, I want to be able to go out with a pump and not have I won't be able to take that out and not have somebody from Planet Eclipse going, "Why aren't you using our gear? You're breaking your sponsorship." Or having one of the other guys go out with like an ego and not have somebody from Die giving it, "Why aren't you using our gear? You're breaking your sponsorship." We always wanted to be able to use whatever gear we wanted. And again, like's being said in the chat by you guys, people like giving it, "No, you've got to use this gear." But even then, people that aren't connected with teams, when you just have some random person that'll go, "You're using your gear wrong. Here's how you should be using it." It's like, well, I'm open to advice, but it's my gear. It's like, I think advice is a great thing to take and to give, but there's a difference between offering advice and just forcing your opinion on people. You're on Phantom Paintball, but you're not on the sponsored side. Well, the thing is, I'm not going to shit on you if you for getting a sponsorship, because it does reduce the costs, or can reduce the costs. But you just got to be aware that if you go for a sponsorship deal, you're going to be tied into whatever their deal is. Otherwise, if you go back on that, they'll go back on their side, or you can cancel their sponsorship in general, completely. It's always happened, as I mentioned before. It's paintball politics. Yeah, totally right, Ben. This isn't something new. If you go back to the earlier days of paintball, you'll have had people that when the first games were played with, like, I think it was like the Nell Spot 007 or something. It was one of those sorts of guns, like an early Nell Spot. You had like a bolt on the side for cocking it on the side of that pistol, and then somebody created pump handles for them, and you'll have had people that have complained about that. Yeah, people that created pumps, and they had stick feeds on them, and people will complain about that because they had bigger stick feeds than the guys with the Nell spots. And then you'll have people that when they started making that oil can hoppers and stuff, then people will complain about that because he had more shots than that. And then you have semi-auto versus pump, and your electronic semi-auto versus mechanical semi-auto, and every time there's something changes or something shoots off, there's people in both groups, or whichever groups, will start bitching and complaining, and it just turns into a right fuck on. The tournament team isn't sponsored, but the walk on the tournament team. Nah, I told you, it's been a long day. The tournament team is sponsored, but the walk-on team isn't. Well, I'm not really surprised at that. You see, walk-on tournament teams generally get a lot more attention. So if anyone's going to get the sponsorship, it's going to be them. And the other thing is with that is tournaments do cost a lot of money. It's not tournament paintball isn't a cheap hobby. I think for like going and playing a day at CPBS when I used to play a tournament, I think my full weekend cost about 150 quid. Good evening, Tony. He's talking about SES. Yeah, but SES do, SES do have a tournament side and a walk-on side. But granted, SES is Woods ball side, their walk-on, their magfed, all those sorts of big guys. They actually do have a very good reputation in the UK, and they're very well known. So they probably could get sponsorship deals if they wanted to. But you then start, like I was saying earlier on, start running into deals with things like sponsorship deals and being able to shoot certain gear, and only being able to shoot certain guns, only being able to wear certain gear. And there does seem to be a bit of a diverse mix of equipment across the SES team. Are there? I mean, I'm not aware of who sponsors who or anything like that, so you guys will know better than I do. I'm trying not to eat too much because I don't want this to just turn into a live stream of you sitting watching me eat my tea. yeah, so sponsorship, it can be a good one. It can be a great supporter for teams. It can really help people get in. I mean, even when I was playing with lockdown, Fat Bob's helped you out. Well, that's it. Fat Bob's will. The Fat Bob's they're a great crew down there. Andy runs a really good ship down there. Um, so they always try and help people out whenever they can. Enjoy it, Ben. Enjoy it. I've got pizza and hang on, something's stuck in my plate. I've got pizza and onion rings. Right. So, well, I'm sure I was about to start talking about something there, and I've completely forgotten it. Has anybody got anything that they'd like to talk about? And we'll just get rid of these things. All About Pizza I've got on in front of me. Nice. What have you got? Milsim versus Speedball. In what regards? Are you talking skill? Are you talking equipment? Chicken dinner, pepper and onion. Nice. That makes more sense. I was thinking chicken dinner, the chicken dinner pizza. But chicken doner and pepper and onion. Very nice, mate. Very nice. Right, so Milsim versus Speedball. Well, I'm going to take what you mean by that as skill. Scenario versus Speedball. Ooh, Scenario versus Speedball versus Milsim versus Speedball. They're two different subjects. Either way, if you're talking skill-wise, I will always back the Speedball as for skill. But the thing is, though, it's the differentiation. Now it's magfed versus Scenario versus Speedball. Yeah, you're right there, Ben. Like, both skilled games, but both skillful in different ways. To an extent, yes. You see, so far as I'm aware, we don't have anyone using. Yeah, it's all politics. We don't have any tournament teams that are using first straight rounds yet. Now, I think if anyone could actually afford to use first straight rounds in a tournament, that could add a very interesting element to it. But the use of first strikes is where you can pick up a lot of skill from like the milsim sort of side of things, or even in scenario games. Then they add a different element to the game, as I've talked about before. But if you're talking purely skill with the same equipment, so you take or even similar equipment, so you take somebody with say like an A5 versus two players, and we'll go for exact same gear. Now it is entirely possible for a player who's only ever played Speedball to be just as skilled as a player who's only ever played Woods Ball or Milsim or Scenario. But you're going to generally find that the people that play Speedball, and I'm talking actually play Speedball, not just wear Speedball type clothes, you're going to find people that actually play proper tournaments and stuff are generally more skillful players when it comes to playing paintball than the Woods Ball players or Scenario players, because it's along the lines of comparing people that play competitive football to people that go to the park and have a kick around. You can have somebody that is a very, very good player who plays at the local park with their mates, but they're not going to be the standard of people that are doing it at a highly competitive level. I think that's the easiest sort of way that I can put that across. Now, I'm not in the game. I don't care what style play anyone plays or anything like that, but that in my experience has been the case. But the boundaries or the lines kind of get crossed a lot, because a lot of people misunderstand, or a lot of people, when they see somebody wearing like an Eclipse jersey and dye pants and a set of I4s and they're carrying an Ego or a die matrix or whatever. They see that and they think speedball player. But because paintball gear has been designed for the purpose of playing paintball, that tournament gear, the gear that they're wearing, their Eclipse jerseys and like small masks and fast firing guns, that stuff that's been designed for the purpose of playing paintball at the highest level that you can, to an extent. I mean, you can get cheaper versions of it, but that's all gear that has basically been designed with the purpose of playing paintball. But then if you take somebody that's playing in military gear and they're using combat vests and they're using something that's designed to look like a real gun, now they can be a very, very skillful player, but they're using gear that isn't necessarily designed with paintball in mind. So that can change things a little bit. But that's not to say that you can't be a good player, because you can take a speedballer and give them like an A5 or something like that, or a magfed gun, and they'll still be able to transfer all of those skills across. But it's generally a slower game. Well, in fact, 99.99% of all games that are going to be played in scenarios, woods ball, magfed style games, they're going to be slower games. A game on a speedball field might last 30 seconds. Sometimes it might not even last that. So you're going to find different skills, especially different skills, but also higher levels of those skills in speedball than you will in magfed, in woods ball scenario, whatever. But generally, you've also got to remember that the people that are playing those like the scenario events and things like that, they're playing for recreation, they're playing for fun, not to be a superstar. I hope I've explained that reasonably well. I don't mean to offend anyone with that. I don't mean to shit all over anyone's play style, because for all I used to play Tony Ball, I don't anymore. So you've got to remember, I'm including myself in the idea of talking about scenario players and woods ball players and things like that. I don't have the skills of a Tony baller anymore. Both skillful games, but both skillful in different ways. You are right there, Tony. I just think there is a little bit more to that. It will not happen, as magfed would cry too much. What's that in regards to, Albert? I went off on a bit of a ramble and I kind of lost track of where we were. Speedball teams now running classic 10-man events in the US. Fun to watch on Go Sports. If you've got a link to that, Richie, share it up in the chat. Yearly tournament versus Milsim. Yearly tournament Milsim versus Speedball. That could actually be interesting if that could be put on. But I don't know. I mean, I think the best thing, that if you were going to do like a tournament where it was Milsim versus Speedball, I think you'd have to do sort of my territory versus your territory sort of thing. You'd have to do a Milsim environment versus a Speedball environment. So you'd have to have your team of Milsimmers and your team of Speedballers. It could maybe be like a 2-day event, where on the Saturday you have all of your players playing on a Speedball style environment. Yes, I've got the dog. Yeah. But so yeah, you can have all of your players playing on like a Speedball style environment on one day, and then on the second day you could have all of your players playing in like in a milsim sort of environment. So it could be an urban environment, or it could even just be small size like woodland game zones. So it would be interesting. It would definitely be interesting to see how that went, what kind of dynamic it would bring. Don't think it would work. A Milsim tournament might work, but not Speedball versus Milsim. Did we not talk about the idea of having a Milsim or a magfed tournament like either last week or the week before? Because if we didn't, it doesn't matter. But I like the idea of it. I just don't know how viable it would be, because as we've talked about before, to run something, this is why I'm sure we have. Yeah, the idea. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I thought we had, but I'll mention it again. The idea of running a magfed tournament, I think you would have to boost the entry fee right up to compensate the lack of paint that the site would be making money back on. Because for all sites don't generally make that much money out of regular paintballers, they do still make some. And sites still have to pay their bills. And if you've got, I don't know, if you've got, say, 40 players on site and you need a ref for every 15 players, you've got somebody running a cook station, so you need to pay for your person who's dealing with any food or drinks or anything like that. You need someone that's dealing with the offices. You need someone that's dealing. You need, for 45 players, you're going to need 3 refs roughly. You've then got your rent for the site. You've got the money that they'd be losing by hosting an event like that instead of hosting just a normal rental day. You've also got the insurance and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of money that a site would have to recoup there. And of course, if you're going to be using the site as a collection of players, you need to make it worthwhile of the site to do that, as opposed to just having some rental walk-on players. I mean, you're looking at maybe £60 a day per ref, and that's if they're working cash in hand. So straight off the bat, you need to be making 180 quid, bare minimum, just for to cover the cost of having the refs on site. And that's, like I said, maybe fiddle cash in hand. The breadcrumbs keep getting stuck in my throat. The UK Woodland Masters already exists. It does, Richie, but I think the idea is more that you have a specific magfed walk-on, as opposed to, not a magfed walk-on, a magfed tournament or a milsim tournament, as opposed to having sort of like a more general walk-on crowd where you've got like mixed equipment, or mixed tournaments, so people out there are going to be using hoppers. Scenario players generally have more self-control and stamina. I'll agree with you there. Tony have better skills but can get tunnel vision and play in short bursts. Then there's a sliding scale between. I totally agree. That's, yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. You tend to find, just like I was saying, I mean, a tournament game might only last 30 seconds. Now, depending on what you're playing, you could be playing a race to 4 format. Now, in a race to 4 format, you're potentially going to play a maximum of 7 games before you then stop and move on. Because for those that might not know, a race to 4, we'll go for race to 4. It's basically whoever can get 4 points first, and that's generally going to be by either eliminating all the other players or by hanging a flag or hitting a buzzer or something like that. So in a race to 4 format, it's whoever can get the 4 points first. So that could alternate until 7 games and one side finally gets the 4. But yeah, so in a situation like that, you might only play, if it's 7 games, you've played, I don't know, I'm really bad at maths, like 3 games, 3.5 minutes worth of play. It's not a lot of time on field. Now you're then going to play multiple of those, but all in all, throughout the entire day, you might only play maximum an hour, and that's at a push. And that's for a full tournament. You might only play as little as an hour. It's not a lot of time on field. But a magfed, or like not even a magfed, a scenario game, you could potentially be out for 8 hours playing almost non-stop. So there's a difference there. And the other thing is, if you don't want to have to go back and keep podding up and things like that, which is going to tire you out even more, having to plod all the way back to the save zone every however often, you have got to have that more control on. It's even simple things like just trigger discipline, which I have none of. I'd say I see somebody and I just kind of want to shoot paint at them. Right. Right, where are we? What is milsim, magfed? Right. Yes, I suppose it's something that I should probably broach for those that might not know. Milsim is military simulation. Very simple. It's right there in the name, military simulation. Magfed. Now this is where we get a little bit complicated because magfed isn't necessarily milsim, and milsim isn't necessarily magfed. But magfed generally refers to people that play using realistic style equipment, taking what is generally considered to be a magazine. So when you see people in films where they're firing AK-47s and AR-15s and things like that, then they take a mag out and they put another mag in. That's generally what is considered magfed, and that's the easiest way I can take to explain it. But as I said, one is not the other, and the other is not the other. For example, I think it's the Coleco. If you look at the Coleco, or I think it's the PP90M1, I think it is. I'm going to quickly Google that. PP90M1. Yes, the PP90M1. Those things use helical. I think it's pronounced helical magazines. So basically, it looks like a pod, just a normal pod of paint, and the rounds are loaded in and they go in a spiral. As a result, it is a submachine gun that can hold something along the lines of around about 90 shots. It's effectively a full pot of paint. Now, some of you may have not seen it before, some of you may have. You can get something in paintball, and they're not very common now, but in fact, they've never really been that common. But you can get something called a Q loader, and it does the exact same job. Now, you could make yourself up a PP90 M1 or even a Coleco, because they both use helical feed systems. You could make one of those up using a Q loader, and it would be milsim. You could go for the PP90 M1. It's a Russian submachine gun. I think it fires 9mm bullets. You would go for a full-on Spetsnaz loadout carrying the PP90 M1, and it would be completely milsim, without a doubt. However, there's only a minority of magfed players, at least in my experience, and I may be wrong on it. People may have changed their opinions, but there's only a minority of magfed players would actually be okay with you playing with that. Because a lot of them, when I used to have these conversations, which I haven't for a few years now, granted, but they would be of the opinion that you had an unfair advantage because you're carrying too much paint. And say, all right then. And this is what used to make us laugh, and I did troll people a bit on this. Like, well, if I'm carrying too much paint on this thing that looks like a real gun, can I use my CCI Phantom? With my stock class gun. If a little gas canister that fires 30 shots, 10 rounds in the feed tube. No. Why not? Because it's not magfed, it doesn't look realistic. Well, can I use this thing that's realistic? No, it carries too much paint. Well, can I use this thing that's not realistic and doesn't carry too much paint? No, it doesn't look realistic. And around and around and around you go. But I did used to find it a little bit funny. I used to find it very, very funny. But I try and leave that alone now. I try not to mess with that. I was posting about Nightmare posted, but they then retracted. Right, no worries. Woodland Masters don't include magfed. No, yeah, they don't, and it is a shame that they don't. There isn't anything stopping anybody from entering the Woodland Masters with a magfed gun. I just think most magfed players know that they'd be outgunned if they did try and enter something like that. So I think that's probably why they don't want to. I mean, nobody really wants. Well, there's not many people that want to go to a tournament knowing that they're going to be outgunned. There's me and Albert, but we would. Probably Colin as well. Basically, speed mag. Not sure what you mean by that. Average 500 to 1,000 in a full weekend of magfed games. Well, this is it. I mean, in magfed, you're going to shoot a lot less paint because generally you can't physically carry enough paint with you on field to shoot it. It's a great limiter, and if you're trying to save cash, going magfed is a great one for reducing the amount of paint that you're going to be able to shoot. Full weekend, Christ, I shoot 8,000 for a weekend played pump. How Albert? Yeah, I think even playing with some the my onion rings. even playing even playing with like an electro, it's not very common that I shoot more than a box of paint a day. So I suppose in a full weekend I might shoot 4,000 rounds on average, playing with an electronic marker. Maybe 2 boxes on the Sunday, 1 box on the Saturday at a push. But I also don't play with an electro very often. I think on average it's normally about a box a day for me, even if I'm playing pump, unless I'm playing stock class. If I'm playing stock class, then I shoot less than what you would with a magfed, or at least what you're suggesting. It's generally I would say I probably don't even shoot 500 a day when I'm playing stock class. Right. Colin in his pump versus Electro on the Bouncy Castle's Pump Fury. I think Colin could stand a good chance there, like. Speedball magfed. You know what it is? Nightmare. I do think that could be it would be fun. And I have seen people play on fields with magfed gear, or on speedball fields with magfed gear. You might like a guy called Midnight Angels, also known as Kimbo Assassin, and he did some videos. I think it was on one of his YouTube channels, like years ago now, of him playing speedball. I think it was an indoor field with these magfed or these dual TPXs, and he is a very, very good player. When it comes to playing with these pistols, he's a very, very accurate player. Well, that's it. That's the thing. Midnight Angel's play style is he rushes. But he's also quite savvy on what he does. He sticks to corners. He uses his bunkers very well. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's a bit brutal in some of the ways that he plays. Like I'm pretty sure it was I stopped following him when he put a shot in the back of someone's head from point blank. But I can't deny that he's a very skilled player, and for all I would like an opportunity to play against him, I have every faith that he would decimate me on a field. Mayhem big game, 2 boxes on Friday, nearly 3 boxes on Saturday, then 3 on the Sunday, mate. Right, there's a fair few people know me for playing pump, but I don't have the arm on us for that. But this you just know that I like playing pump, and I don't think I don't think I would have it in us if I do that, mate. Right, I'm just gonna quickly go on it. I must say that just going back to the should bouncers count thread. I had a little bit of a laugh to myself. My profile picture on Facebook is me playing pump. it's pretty much what I play nearly every single time I go out and play. I play pump. Like I said, people know me for playing pump. It's just what I like doing. Uh, I tag him out with my foam sword. I try, but the guy's fast, and I ain't. Not anymore. But yeah, even on Facebook, you can like all you have to look at is my profile picture, and you can see I play pump. And somebody responded to me saying that I didn't agree with bouncers counting. With ignore this guy, he's obviously just someone that sits behind a keyboard trying to argue a point that isn't even being talked about. Well, for the first thing, it's been a long time since I've been called a non-playing goober. It's been a while since I've had the accusation of not playing thrown against us, but because all he does is shoot paint in bursts of 300 and thinks that all paint breaks with a ratio of 300 to 1, at the end of the day, a hit should be a hit. If you can feel it, call yourself out, otherwise you're cheating, because your ass was hit fairly regardless of the break or not. But the point of our game is to mark each other with paint. The point of airsoft is to just hit each other, and that's it. But we have to mark each other with paint. And I love the idea of a 300 round burst from a pump. I don't even have a hopper that's capable of firing 300 rounds without us having to reload, and I don't know how you wouldn't have enough arms. I suppose you could cable tie a trigger down, kind of lock it in, and be doing that. But that just tickled us, and I felt like sharing that. Oh man. Right. But yeah, I don't have anything more to share on that. Right. Travel 5 hours. I'm going to make the most. Oh yeah, if you're traveling 5 hours, you're going to make the most of it. I don't blame you, mate. It's like I just don't think I don't think I would have it in us to fire that much paint with a pump. Well, the thing is, that's it. Hey, yeah. I just I just don't have it in us to fire that many rounds. It does feel good to be pulling the trigger. Being able to just rattle paint down a field, it feels amazing. But I also like to try and save money. I'm a skinflint, and I don't actually have to spend anything. But I do appreciate cover and fire. So, you know. Once you get your E-Tech, you're selling the Proto Rise. Well, mate, once you get your E-Tech, that thing should do you absolutely champion. I've got a level 3, not level 3, an E-Tech 3. Yeah, I've got an E-Tech 3, and that thing has lasted me. I think I've had that for about 3 years now, and it's one that I know I'm just going to get out my kit bag, and it's for the most part it's going to work. It was a bit broken when I got it, but with a bit of help from Richie, that was sorted out. And Chan, who sometimes drops into the chat as well, he's done a little bit paint work on it and stuff, so it now looks really good again, because it looked it looked awful when I first got it. But I didn't care, it worked. Well, it worked once we fixed it. But that thing is a fantastic marker, and if I needed, I don't think you need anything more than an E-Tech for the most part, unless you're playing paintball at a really high end. Once you've got it set up for what you need it to, you'll never need to change it again. And next to Tipman's, Eclipse guns are practically bomb proof. Don't think Colin be able to do 300 round burst. Colin, if he's got the max loader on, probably could do a 300 round burst from a pump. Got yourself an original axe just because I wanted something easy and reliable for walk-ons, where I didn't want to play magfed. Well, there you go, Tony. I mean, it's always nice just being able to like get something out of your bag and just take it out and play. And you know the axe, they're a tried and tested platform. I mean, the axe started off, they came from minis. It was basically them trying to make the mini a bit bigger. It was called a mini for a reason. But yeah, the Empire minis, I think it was Empire. No, invert. They made the axe a little bit bigger, so that it actually be used as a reasonably sound tournament style platform. And they're cracking guns. I mean, they've got a bit of a reputation. You've probably seen the meme floating around of axe plus cash, and it was because they were very very common. But generally, you're going to find if something's very common, it's because they work. Like ions, smart parts ions had a very bad reputation because they were cheap. But I've still got ions now that still work. I mean, mine was a cracking little gun, my original ion, and that has always been one of my biggest regrets in paintball was selling my first ion. I love your E-Tech 3, never sell it. Well, you see, Albert, I always think that. I always think, like, oh, I love this gun, I'll never sell it. And then I get it into my head that, well, I don't need it, so I'll sell it and I'll buy something else that I want. And then I regret selling it. The Lux X is a fancy ion. Where was that screen capture actually from? Where somebody, don't you die? You've got slavers. Lick it. Oh. Where was the screen capture from? Where somebody had shared that around? Because let's face it, I mean the Lux is just a fancy ion. I love the fact that somebody felt that pissed off about that they had to take a screen capture and share it. One sec. Right, I'll go back to here. PB Nation YouTube post commented on that. Yeah, but was it just Chan that had screen captured it, or was it somebody else complaining about it? See, the RSX, I really wanted to try one of those, but I've just never had an opportunity. But I always wanted a shocker back in the day, 10 years ago. And I've always wanted to get my hands on a proper smart pass shocker, but I've never had an opportunity. I've never had the spare cash around, so yeah, I've just never had a chance. And then when the Shocker RSX came out, I've just again never had a chance to try and get one, and again no money. The Lux X is coming out this year. Nightmare, it's just a fancy ion, like Richie said. Right. So, has anyone got anything that they'd like to talk about? You've sold in the past and regretted it. Well, never again. I've told my lass I'm buried. I'm being buried with my sterling. That's it. There is a couple of guns that I've sworn I will never ever sell. There's a few which I'm a bit should or shouldn't err on, because I've got a few that I never really use. But I would feel really bad about selling, like my auto mag. I think in the entire time I've been playing, it was 11 years this month that I started playing properly. And I think it was maybe a year, if that, into started playing that my wife bought as an auto mag. Now it's never worked properly the entire time I've had it. Now I think I've had a feeling I know what it is and what I'm not too sure. Sometimes I think I know and sometimes I don't. But it's never really worked properly the entire time I've had it. But so I kind of feel like, well, if I'm not using it, then I might as well get rid of it. But it kind of means something to us, and it's like sometimes I'll look at some of these sorts of things and think, well, I'm not using it very often, or like having an E-blade. Well, I don't use an E-blade very often, so well, I'll take that off and then think, hang on, I kind of like having it. So I'm always a bit conflicted with it. But did you hear in the did you hear in the news about some MP said the Navy should shoot? Oh yes, yes, I did hear about that. I'm on a couple of airsoft pages, and they were loving that. Well, there was some of them were having a good laugh about that, about the idea of paintballers taking on warships. Oh, what's going on? What's going on with my camera? And that I don't know if that's just. I'll try refreshing that. No. Ah, look, it's started working again there. I don't know. Hopefully the camera's coming out clear on your end and stuff. I really need to spend a bit of time and try and work out some stuff here. Right. So yes. Yeah. Ghosts. Uh, so basically, there's been problems with some warships in the Gibraltar waters. Some Spanish warships within Gibraltar waters, and it's been like, well, this MP had apparently suggested that they fire paintballs at these warships to try and drive them off. And frankly, I find the idea of doing that to just be ridiculous. I don't understand what this MP thinks firing paintballs at a warship is going to do. I mean, you could go out with like an AK and fire it at that warship, and it's gonna be like shooting a blow dart at a tank. They're not gonna give a shit. All they're gonna do is make them laugh. I mean, it was a little while ago. There was a Gibraltar warship sailed in. A Spanish warship sailed into Gibraltar waters, sailing around Gibraltar, blaring blaring the Spanish national anthem across the loudspeakers. They've been fucking with Gibraltar. Well, with Gibraltar. Does this MP really think that firing paintballs at a fucking warship is gonna make them do anything? They'll just laugh. the I don't understand what our thoughts are, but it also did make us laugh that you had on one of the airsoft pages I was on, you had airsofters saying that they would just laugh at paintballers, but they'd flee from they'd flee from the airsofters. No, that would bother them even less than the paintball guns. Could you imagine a full-on warship just blasting another with that size paintball? It'd be funny as. Yeah, that's it. Just like a warship firing a paintball about that sort of size of another warship. That's it. Get the 250 cal on them. Yeah. Legitimately, one of those probably could fire something like a 250 cal paintball. Be one hell of a game though. Can you imagine if you're on the deck of the ship? Could be a legitimate death through paintball. Yeah, but it was a really friggin' big one. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. I got the idea of like a massive one. Imagine the cleanup. It's alright. They're in the water already. Just have to go through a few big waves and they'll be clean. Right. So Albert, so what would be your dream game? My dream game, I don't know. See, because I really like stuff like Bridge, so like urban environments. But I also like the idea of going to a game like the old Living Legends, where they had the mound. That was one that was on my bucket list, and I know it's not like an idea of coming up with a game for myself and creating a game and creating my own dream game. But I think just the Living Legends game alone is probably the closest thing to a dream game that I would have. Because I mean, Living Legends was that popular that you had celebrities that were going along and attending the game as it was. People that were going along and like well, all right, maybe some YouTube celebrities, but there was FPS Russia used to go to Living Legends. You had Woody's Gamer Tag used to go to Living Legends. Um, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head at the minute, but they even like Kitty. I mean, I know Kitty was a paintballer, but she was actually very big within the sort of the gaming YouTubers and bloggers and things like that as well at one point. In fact, I remember watching stuff where I'm sure I remember watching stuff on Machinima where Kitty was involved with that, and Machinima at one point was absolutely huge on the internet. Well, the idea of being able to go to a game where you had people that were big stars, well, at least online, that would want to go and play these sorts of things, it appealed to me. Then, because I mean, these were people that I used to watch on YouTube anyway, so it was the idea of getting to meet sort of like celebrities that I watched. Which, when I think back on it, I haven't seen or heard anything from Kitty in years, and I don't mean that as in she used to talk to us. I just mean I haven't seen any of her posting, or I haven't seen any posts from her or anything. But extremely disabled. And I know she was having a bit of a hard time like a few years back. Can you remember the Euro Millions ad? Yes, Albert, I can. The whole like storming the island sort of thing. That was brilliant. That it would be great for to be able to have a go like play a game along those sorts of lines. Uh, the thing is, the characters that were in that. You've got them like abseiling from the plane and stepping out of the water. Who would you be? Because I can just imagine you being like the guy coming up out of the water and like starting shooting around and stuff. Got caught up in the Kyle FPS Russia thing. Yeah, FPS Russia is still around. He just doesn't upload any FPS Russia videos anymore. Now the only time I see anything from him is when he's a regular on Woody's Gamer Tags podcast that he does. Quite often you see, like, I haven't watched it in years, but I'm still subscribed, and you see stuff posting up. Operation Tyrant is a magfed game in Greece. Few people last year got videos and they did beach landings and everything. You'd be the fat guy behind the tree. I think I might be behind the tree and all, mate, just the same. Yeah, Tony. Operation Tyrant. Oh, my wife's done some tidying up and she's put my paintball magazine somewhere. I don't know where it is. Because I was pretty sure that it was covered in the paintball magazine. No, it's not under there. Nah, I don't know where it is. It's probably on the bookshelf next door. But yeah, that looks fantastic. It's one that I would kind of like to go to myself, but it's just again as is always the case, it's time and money and all that sort of stuff. I'd love to just be able to go and play whatever games I want, but especially the idea of traveling abroad. Oh God, the idea of traveling abroad to go play a game, it really appeals to me, but it's just the money and the travel. I mean, years ago I had an invite, and I don't know if he was joking or if he was serious, because I've heard that he was an incredibly nice guy. There was a YouTuber that used to be quite big in paintball called Borg, and I remember seeing a video of his. He lived in Croatia, and I remember posting something like, there's no way that you could do this in a UK site. There's just no way health and safety would allow it. And he was like, "Oh well, you can come and stay with me, and we can go play." It's like, this is the years ago when I just had like a bog standard account where, like, I'm not that I think I'm a superstar now or anything, but literally, it was just an account where I just watched videos and that was it. And the idea that he would be like the sort of guy that would be just be like, "Oh yeah, just unknown person, just come stay at my house and we'll go play." So just I would have loved to, but again, it's like the idea of going all the way to Croatia to go play. It's a bit far and would have probably cost us a lot of money. But then again, Borg was paying apparently something like about, it must have been about 7 or 8 years ago, was paying like $60 a case or something. I think it was, or maybe about $80 a case. The paint cost that much. He got raided a year or so ago. Again, because I know FPS Kyle. He had a lot of problems thanks to FPS Russia, but I didn't know he'd been raided again. There is another op to this year. This year, end of the year. I wish I could do it, but the sport is expensive. It is, and you see, I think if it's one, well, I think it's one of the things that we can kind of try and do is if we can get more people in playing the game. If we can draw more people in and get interest back up, hopefully, what I'm hoping is that if sites make more money by there being more of it, prices might come down a little bit. I kind of hope that might be the case. I can't guarantee it, but I hope so. We already talked about it, but lottery win, hire a plane, fill it full of UK nutters, and show the Yanks how to do a slapstick. Damn right, Albert. I'm right there with you if that's the case. And I think if there was like a plane full of UK ballers, hit living legends, I don't think they'd know how to handle it. Rentals are the lifeblood of the sport. Yes, which I don't know if any of you follow them on Facebook, but there's a couple of pages. I think it's Paintball Inquirer and eCeleb Spotlight. There are a couple of meme pages. Now, they post stuff quite regular about, and it's they've taken the mick out of players that turn up to rental days and mug out rental players or shoot out rental players. Now, I understand sometimes you want to go get your fix in, and there isn't many people to play with other than rental customers. But if you're playing with rental customers, I think one of the best things you can do is if either use something that doesn't have a high rate of fire, doesn't seem intimidating, it's more closer to what the rental players are going to be shooting themselves. Because of course we still want to play as well, and if rental players are all you've got to play with, then that's who you're going to have to play with. But just take it a little bit easier on them. You can still run around and be a loon, but you've just got to take it a little bit easier, be a little bit nicer to them, because you don't want to decimate those players and completely put them off. You want to get those players enjoying it, having a great day, and going, you know what? I want to do that again. That's what you need to do. That's what we all need to do, as we want to be ambassadors of the sport. When we go out and play, we want rental customers to see what we're doing and think, yes, I want to be involved in that. I want to have fun with that. And going out and decimating players, it's like, how would you feel? How would you feel if you went to a boxing club? You go out, the first time there, you don't know how to put the gloves on properly. You're a bit out of shape and stuff, and you go out there, and you turn up the club, and they go, right, you're getting in the ring with a semi-pro. I've been here 10 minutes, and you want to kick the shit out of us. Most people wouldn't want to go back. And I think it's exactly the same with paintball. If you turn up, like if the first time I turned up, I did get shot to shit because I put myself in situations where I got shot. But there's not many people that can take a hammer and go, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this again. See, most people have to kind of, for lack of a better phrase, be broken in gently. uh, Nice one, Nightmare. What have you gone for? What kind of mask have you gone for? Anyone see that skirmish video the other day? Stop that guy with a fake iPhone. It wasn't skirmish. It was Combat Zone Lincoln with a fake iPhone mask. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, can you imagine? Luckily, those refs were on the ball and they spotted that mask. But can you imagine if that hadn't been spotted and that guy getting out on the game zone, and the first time he takes a shot at the gogs, because it's very common for in rental games for them to say, like headshots and gunshots don't count. So you stick your head up over the top of a bunker, knowing you can't be eliminated by it, and you lose your eyes. Now that's going to be some seriously bad PR for the game, which is why earlier on the video I talked for a while about the fact of, if you see one of these masks, if you see somebody, it's not just I4s, but there's other rip-off masks out there as well. But if you spot somebody out on a game zone with a mask that doesn't look legit, call them out on it. If you see somebody, especially this FMA, F1, whatever it is, if you see somebody out with that in a game zone, get them off the game zone as fast as you can. Explain the situation to them. Tell them it's not safe. Get refs involved. Show them the video from Combat Zone. Show them what is going on and get that person off the field. And even if it means, unfortunately, they'll probably have to buy a new mask if they want to go back again. But if not, at least you've saved their eyes. It's the last thing, even from from a optics standpoint, an optics viewpoint of an optics, even from a standpoint of just how it looks for the community. We need to be monitoring that sort of stuff. We need to call people out if they're wearing or selling dodgy gear. Right. If I play on a day that I marshal to help out rentals, I take out a rental gun so they can see what you can do with their guns. That's it. That's a great sort of philosophy to have. If you're going to play with the same sort of equipment that the rentals are going to have. And as you said, because then they can see what you can do with that. But I'm starting to become a little bit more cautious about the idea of going and playing with the rentals, because I've been on both sides. I've seen from a ref's point of view and a player's point of view of standing and watching rental customers and playing against sort of walk-on players, even if you mix the teams up. Sometimes, hell, I've even seen rental customers get upset the fact that they're not playing with just their group of friends. But I also understand, sometimes you can't just have, you can't just have one small group of friends playing and that's it. You've got to mix the games up a bit more, otherwise you can't. It's not feasible to do. So it's an awkward one, because you want to maximize the fun that those rental customers are going to have, and I'm not 100% sure on how that can be done, but I think with the fact that we're talking about it can kind of at least help try and address the issues. It's punter hunters that have killed the walk-on scene in the northeast. Yeah, I'll bet you could be very well be right there. I think it's the average turnover for paintball is supposed to be between 3 and 5 years. So there's some players that are in here that within, well, they're supposed to there could be players in here that are going to be dropping out at any point. But for the most part, players that have passed that 5-year point, they're going to be around for years and years and years. It seems like if you pass the 5-year point, you just stay here. You stay on the scene in one way or another. Why am I drinking from this? I've got a glass. I get rentals asking to shoot my gear all the time. Let them. I understand if it's a TPX, that's a little bit more awkward, because if you're using mags, you run out of paint and you've got to reload your mags before the game starts. You've also got to worry about how much, if you're using CO2, how much CO2 you've got left in your cartridges. But if you've got a semi-automatic or something, one of the great things that you can do is just let them have a go. Now I'm a bit different when it comes to masks and stuff. I don't like people using masks that I use, but when it comes to actual equipment, I wouldn't necessarily let them play a game, but I'd certainly let them have a few shots out of my gun, because I think it builds rapport. It builds sort of I don't know the wording for it, but it looks good and it makes them feel good, and they can see that the gear that you're using isn't that much different to the gear that they're using. It's the guy across there with the scary gun's a lot less scary when you've had a go. Alright. BZ can't get a walk-on run because there's too many members who only punt a hunt and will not play against own gunners. You see, now that is terrible. The idea of players with their own gear who won't go out and play against players with their own gear, I just think that's ridiculous. I'm like I said, I'm not opposed to players turning up and joining in rental games, but to me, if I turned up now, say there's me and a few of the lads from Nest decide to rock up to BZ Newcastle, and we went, no, we all want to play on one side, and we'll do games like us against all of the rentals and things like that. I mean, they have one game, yeah, okay, maybe it's to show that like what you can do once you start getting used to it. But if you're playing every game like that, or you're giving it the, well, I only want to play with my friends, it just looks bad, and it makes the customers feel bad, and you don't grow as a player. It's easy to be a superstar when you're playing against people that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, Richie. Yeah, that's it. Punter hunters ruin the game. Paintball isn't sustainable if we allow punter hunters to ruin it. I said to my mates, that just makes me think. Like last week, I used my new EVA mask and got a direct hit square at the center of my lens from point blank, and made me think about it then. Yeah. Oh, that's it, Tony. Like the longer you play, you'll take numerous hits to the gogs. I mean, I've got stuff like my JTs. I've had lenses in some of these. I've just realised that isn't actually in right. I've had lenses in some of my JTs for years. Now, by rights, you're supposed to change your lens after every single time you are hit. That's what's recommended. Yeah, changing your lens after every single time it is hit is the advice that sites give. That's what you're supposed to be told when you buy a mask. It's what is advertised or recommended across the entire paintball scene, but realistically, no one does. I don't know a single player who changes their lens every single time they're hit. Because, I mean, the JTs are a very cheap mask, but even then, I think the lenses for those are somewhere around 20 quid. I mean, 20 quid and you might be hitting the lens 10 times in a day. the price is going to build up fast. But these masks, they're all designed to be able to take hits at 300 feet per second. I think one of the best ones that I ever saw was when I was relatively new to paintball. I tried loads of different masks, and I got my hands on a set of V-Force grills. Tried them on, took them out, played with them a few times. Every single time I played with them, they fogged up. It took us years to realise that it wasn't actually the mask that was fogging up. It was my glasses, but I didn't realise at the time. I thought it was the mask. It wasn't. And blah 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 blah. Well, I'd put them to one side. I'd done something with them, and my dog at the time got hold of them and ripped out all of the foam out of the inside of the gogs. Well, I wanted to sell them. Now I couldn't sell them because they had no foam. But with the V-Force grills, they've got the section that has the foam in it, you can actually remove completely. and replace that with brand new foam. So I was at a local tournament, and there was, hang on, what's going on here? For some reason, my phone's not charging. Oh dear. I think my phone's actually on its way out, so yeah, well, I'll make this quick. I might just disappear here. So I replaced the foam. I met a guy at an event, bought his off him, bought his V-Force grills off him for like a tenner because he wanted rid of them and they were slightly damaged. But the foam inside was fine. Replaced the foam, sold mine on, but I now had a V-Force grill that was useless to us. But it was still structurally intact. So me, and I think there's about 5 other people, put this V-Force grill just down on the ground and we all started unloading on it. Reloading, shooting at the lens to see if we could put the lens through. Thousands of shots down the line, multiple people firing at the same time. The first part of the mask that went was the nose. That was what went on it. It just took what we were firing at it and kept going. So that's what you get from a proper designed paintball mask. One shot and a cracked lens was what you get from a cheap knockoff. Right. Bosman Pace, I think BZ need to ban own gunners on punt a day, or run it alongside a punt a day so that they can see the next level, but don't mix. You could be right, Albert. I think especially letting people just. I think if people want to go and play with rental customers, if that's what's happening at BZ sites, then I think if people want to go and play with the rental customers, they need to use rental customer gear. I think that could be a way of solving that. But even then, generally you're going to find regular players are going to outclass rental players, unfortunately. People know me from the channel. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Not sure what you mean there, Nightmare. Over 150 members, and the last 4 walk-on have been cancelled due to lack of numbers. That's bad. I don't understand how they can't get enough players to run a walk-on if you've got 150 members. Changes the lens and the eaves, talking 55 quid for a normal lens. Exactly, mate. This is it. Masks or lenses aren't cheap. Sometimes it's actually cheaper to buy. You can buy a set of JTs for like 40 quid. You can actually buy a full set of JTs cheaper than it is to buy a lens for an EVS. What can I really say about that other than kind of just shrug? Anyway, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to end the live stream here because I keep getting notifications saying that my phone's on low battery, because for some reason it's not charging even though it's plugged in. So thank you very much for joining the low energy live stream. It has been pretty low energy tonight because I don't know. I don't know if I just wasn't feeling it today, or if tonight just didn't seem as good to me as previous weeks. But I hope you've enjoyed it anyway, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. As always, I'll be going over to the Discord server for a little while, so you're free to join us over there, and we can sit and chat for a little bit if you want to. I didn't pay that for the full mask. No, well, this is all about. I think most of my masks have been like scratch built, and I think the last time I bought a full mask was my black flex mask. I think that was about 40 quid, like probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Wish they could all do it where we can down on a weekend, and wish they could. I'm losing the ability to read. Wish they could do it where we can down on a weekend and play at YPC. Well, there might be a game at YPC where we can all get down and play sometime. But we'll have to see what we can do about that. So anyway, gents, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on the Low Energy live stream. If you are interested, I'll be here same time, same place next week. And I think that's all I need to say. So, I hope you have a great night, and I hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thank you very much.